Hey, YCIS students, Mr. Hackman here. And as you can tell, I'm no longer in my house. I'm back in my office, the CCDDD there's two C's, two D's, C2D2, CCDD office here on the fifth floor. It's Monday and very excited to be able to be back at school. Um, Having been at, like yourself, I know that the teachers are still at home, that you are still at home. Um, but a few of us have been asked to come in to school this week. And if I'm honest, after working at home for 3 weeks, I was really ready to get back here. I'm looking even more forward to you all returning as well, because as good as it is to be back, it feels a little weird when nobody's here. I mean, there's just a handful of people. I think on the whole fifth floor, there's hardly anybody here. So it's pretty spooky. Um, I am usually wearing a mask here, have everything. But I thought for the assembly, it might be better if I took it off. And I'm fairly certain there's no coronavirus in this office. So I think we're all good to go. Anyhow, I wanted to pick up on where we were with part 3 of our talk on peace as the fruit of the Spirit. And as you remember, and I've been sharing this multiple times now, as we work through the fruit of the Spirit, those aspects and traits that Jesus says that when we bring them into our life will bring life to ourselves and those around us. And we've been working on peace the last couple weeks. This is part 3. But just as a recap, that peace is a freedom from disturbance, and it is a place of tranquility in our lives. Anyhow, last week I ended with a question: is peace on earth even possible? And it was great to see some of your responses. And like the video that we watched, it was pretty, could go either way for some of you. That, yes, it's important. I think peace on earth is possible. It's going to be difficult, but we can see it with others saying, no, 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 people are too crazy. It's never going to happen. And truth be told, I'm sure there's a little honesty, there's a little validity in both of those viewpoints. But it's really important if we want to see. I'm personally believe that peace is possible on the earth, and but I realize that we're not going to be able to wave a magic wand and make it happen. It's going to require each and every one of us to kind of come into a place where we know how to generate peace within ourselves, so that we can transmit that peace to others, and then hopefully we can see those I always get that word wrong, concentric circles of empathy expand and widen. Anyhow, I want to start with a quote by Mahatma Gandhi: be the change you want to see in the world. If you want to see peace in the world, like that question suggests, it has to start with ourselves. Gandhi said, you be the change. Or did he? Because as I was looking up this quote, I found out actually he never said that. This quote gets attributed to him, but he never really actually said it. Sounds like something Gandhi could have said, but he didn't. Which really, I'm getting off on a side tangent here, but this is something, if you're taking global perspectives, either you have taken it or you will take it in the future. One of the things we examine is critical thinking and checking the validity of the authorities and sources that we're getting our news from. And so often, with the spread of social media and news sites and blogs and YouTube and quotes, we can often read something and just assume that it has a measure of authority because it has a face of someone next to it, next to a quote. We have to really be careful with that kind of thing. And nothing highlights it more than this meme here. Don't believe everything you read on the internet just because there's a picture with a quote next to it, by Abraham Lincoln. Yes, no, Abraham Lincoln did not say that, but that's what proves this point. And you might be saying, Mr. Hackman, what has this got to do with peace? Well, let me tie it in for you. A lot of things that get shared on the internet and lack validity actually cause a lot of fear and stress and anxiousness. Fake news gets shared all the time. All across no country, no city is immune to the spreading of fake news. And when we start reading stories that aren't real but are designed to make us more anxious, more fearful, try to convince us that I'm right and the others are wrong, and show others as just horrible and aren't we good, it takes different forms in different ways, but ultimately that's often what happens. It can cause a real breakdown in peace in our own lives. We get tense, we get angry, and we find our peace disrupted. So I thought that is worth bringing up as we look at peace as one of the fruits of the Spirit. But let me quickly move on here, though. Whether I don't know who made the quote, but be the change you want to be or you want to see in the world is a good quote. We just will show a picture not attributed to any author. Anyhow, there's three things I'd like to highlight about learning to be the change ourselves that can bring peace to your own life. And the first thing is it stops us from judging others. That's really a critical thing in our lives. If we want to have peace, you really have got to develop an ability to silence the radar. I call it the radar of judging others, and bring it internally and inward rather than outward, looking for the shortcomings and imperfections of others, which there will be them out there. But it just often doesn't cause us any peace. We are geared to quickly categorize people as in, out, with us, against us, on our team, on another team. They do it our way, or they don't do it our way. And this is a horrible cycle that humanity tends to get itself into all the time. Jesus felt the same way, and he addressed it at one point in Luke 6 here. He says, "Do not judge, and you will not be judged. Do not condemn, and you will not be condemned. Forgive, and you will be forgiven. Give, and it will be given to you. A good measure, pressed down, shaken together, running over, will it be poured into your lap. For the measure you use, it will be measured against you." Believe me, if you don't judge people, you're going to not feel judged by others. Often, a lot of times, the reason we judge others is it helps deflect the feeling that we ourselves are being judged. It becomes this relentless cycle, this treadmill we can never get off. It's funny I've learned in my life, often these types of games are only won by not playing them. And a long time ago, I learned there's games I won't play in anymore because I just find there's no winners. There's only losers. And that's what I feel Jesus is trying to teach, that when we can learn to not play these games, the judging games, the condemning games, we're going to quickly be able to forgive ourselves. We're going to have this overflowing measure of peace that comes out of us. When we're not judging and complaining and condemning, then we don't feel it coming our way either. It's funny how that works. He says, Jesus goes on to say, "Why do you look at the speck of sawdust in your brother's eye and pay no attention to the plank in your own eye? How can you say to your brother, 'Brother, let me take that speck out,' when you yourself fail to see the plank in your own eye? You're a hypocrite. First take the plank out of your eye, and then you can see clearly to remove someone else's." And I think that gives us the opportunity, when people see that we're willing to self-examine ourselves, they're more likely to, especially if you develop a relational bridge with them, to be able to, in love, maybe sometimes speak and let people know that there's some areas that they could develop. But we have to be really careful how we do that. And when we do that, we can only do it in love. Let me quickly show you a video, just a couple minutes, that I think highlights this whole idea about judging. like that. I thought it was really good, the whole idea of those windows. If we clean our own windows, we're gonna be able to see things in a much more gracious way when we're looking at other people, their actions, and the world around us. Anyhow, the second thing that I'd like to highlight that helps bring peace as we try to be the change ourselves is it replaces complaining about others with reflection on self. And it's one of the reasons, like in assembly, the last, I don't know, 2, 3, 4 years, I've tended to focus a little more and more on contemplation, mindfulness, constantly bringing these things up. Because when we're able to self reflect, when we're able to look in ourselves, to create spaces where we can reflect on our own actions, our own attitudes, it creates just increased opportunities for people to be able to walk out peace and reality. Here's another quote here, and it's funny. I thought C.S. Lewis, the writer of the Narnia Chronicles and the line "The Witch in the Wardrobe," if you're familiar with that, I thought he had originally done this quote. But when I looked it up, I found not only him but Stephen Covey, the famous, I guess you call him self-help business guru, and a couple other people who I didn't even know. Ian Perry, don't know who Ian Perry is, but he's another one who this quote is attributed to. So I found a picture that didn't have anybody um, saying this quote because I can't validate who said it. But the quote itself is really, I think, impactful and insightful. And it's so true. We judge others by their actions. We don't look at their intentions. We don't look at their heart. We don't know. We don't look at what they had thought that they wanted to do. We just judge by what they've done or not done. But with ourselves, because we're much more in tune with what we wanted to do, what our intention was to do. I intended to go visit this person, but I didn't have time. All others are seeing is I didn't go visit that person, but I wanted to go see that person. I wanted to visit that person in a hospital, or I wanted to help this person do this, but something else came up. But all they're seeing is my action, but I'm judging myself by my intention, and vice versa. Wouldn't it be wonderful if we try to act out what the Bible says, where when we look at someone else's actions, we really put the best possible spin on it. We try to always say, hey, I think they probably wanted to do the best thing. And could you imagine what that world might look like? I'd like to see it, to be honest. Anyhow, and quickly moving on to the third thing that living the change can develop in us in regards to peace. It stirs us into taking action within the only thing in the world that we have control over, and that's ourselves. Like I said with that video last week, and the whole idea of bringing peace to the whole earth, it can really be overwhelming. I mean, peace in the whole earth. And when things become overwhelming, we think, oh, why even bother? But the reality is, we can develop peace within ourselves. And that I truly believe, as we get more and more people thinking this way, it will radiate out. And that stirs within us, a desire to put into place actions that can develop this be the change in us. For example, this is a small example, but for the last 3 weeks, working at home, it hasn't been bad. I won't say it's like been, but I find that my routines have gotten a little out of sorts. And specifically, before this 3 weeks, part of my New Year's resolution, and even before that, was I was eating more healthy, more salads, less fast foods, less fatty foods, less fried foods, more greens, less meat, all the usual things you try to do when you're trying to eat better. And what I found was, with the breaking of the routine within our family, we found ourselves just going, let's just order some pizza, or let's just do this or that, and finding out that we're just not eating right, and that led to me not feeling as well, losing a little bit of that peace within me. And I thought, well, what can I do now that I'm back in the office? Let's start Monday morning. I'm going to have a fresh start. And what kind of change can I bring? And so you can see from this picture here, this was my lunch today. I got up this morning, made a salad, got some leftover soup curry. That's a Thai curry soup there with noodles, and I made because I knew if I didn't bring a lunch that was healthy, I'd end up going at lunchtime, maybe into the mall, and probably wouldn't get anything too bad, but I wouldn't have maybe eaten as healthy as this would have been. So I proactively it's that desire to kind of find that peace that I find that when I am eating right and I have control over myself, it just helps in so many areas. So again, this is just a small example, but we have to be able to implement things in our lives, sometimes even small things that can change our attitudes, change our mindsets, and change our heart towards the thing of peace. And since having that lunch, I had that lunch about an hour ago now. um, I just feel so much better. I feel full. I feel better. I feel more at peace. So again, I know that's a small, maybe somewhat silly example, but it's those kind of things that we can implement. I have to ask you, what is that something that resonates with you? Maybe the last 3 weeks, given the circumstances of being at home, maybe eating a little too much junk food, eating maybe not exercising, not getting out as much, and this could be something that you could implement into your life to bring about a little peace in the next few days or weeks. Anyhow, I want to leave you with this question. And that kind of leads me into the question: what change could you make this week that you feel may bring you more peace? That's really what it comes down to. If there's no practical applications for these assembly times, um, why do them? There has to be something that you can put into place, some practical application. So what practical application, what change could you make? How could you be the change this week that would bring more peace to your life? And let's just close this time with a prayer that I shared last week. This comes from St. John's Cathedral, where I attend church, and they've been praying this during this time of the coronavirus. God of hope and healing, at this time of a virus outbreak, give courage and healing to the sick, patience to the suffering, and comfort to the anxious. Grant those in authority and the medical personnel wisdom and sensitivity to manage the situation. Pour your love upon us so we may be an encouragement and help for each other at this time. Abide with us in our going out and our coming in. Protect us all and give us the assurance of your faith, hope, and love. We offer our prayer to Jesus Christ, in whose name wholeness, salvation, and peace come. Amen. Thanks, everybody. I hope this was meaningful for you. And I do hope to see you all back here soon. Have a great rest of your day, and we'll take care. Bye now.